Morning. I'm Miss Carla. I'm at the Fox Point Library in Providence, Rhode Island. Nice to see you. We're going to keep reading Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab. I don't know if that dinging is coming. Is that dinging coming through? My computer is dinging at me. Yeah, ding, ding, ding. If you can't hear it, that's great. But maybe I can mute it. Now, you can still hear me though, right? Gosh, I'm nervous. Oh no, because my microphone is still on. Can you hear me? The little green thing's not bopping along. What happens if I... Okay, I feel pretty good about this. Look, if anybody can't hear me, please let me know in the chat. But I think I fixed it. Okay, Tunnel of Bones, Victoria Schwab. Whew, we are on chapter 23, page 227. It's dark by the time we pull up in front of the little green shack. A security officer is waiting as we climb out onto the curb, and I snap a photo of the entrance sign with my phone and send it to Laura. Me. Going in. Hope to make things right. Me. If I die, don't reap Jacob. I switch the phone off, slip it into my pocket, and take a deep breath. Confession. I'm pretty scared. Scared that my plan will work. Scared that it won't. Scared of what's waiting down there in the dark. I wish the sun were still up. I know it shouldn't make a difference. After all, it's always dark down there beneath the earth. It shouldn't make a difference, but it does. As we walk toward the door, I can feel that shift Mom always talks about in the way the world tastes and feels when the sun goes down. No warmth in the air to keep the chill at bay. No light to push the shadows back. I know the dark is no more haunted than the day, or rather, the day is no less haunted than the dark, but it's still a whole lot scarier. Ghost 5 for luck, says Jacob, holding his palm low instead of high. I bring my hand to rest just above it. For luck, I think. But instead of making the usual sound of skin hitting skin, we both leave the gesture quiet. We let our hands linger one above the other, the closest we can get to comfort. My hand drifts up to the camera around my neck. I didn't actually load a new film cartridge, but it's still a talisman, a good luck charm, a little extra bit of magic. And of course, its bright white flash is always good for stopping ghosts. The security officer slips a heavy key into the lock and slides back the iron gate just far enough for us to squeeze through. I think of Tomas, so small he could simply slide between the last bar and the wall. The crew goes through first, then Mom, then Dad. I'm about to follow when I realize Adele isn't with me. I look back and see her hovering on the threshold, her gold sneakers shifting nervously on the curb. She's biting her lip, looking past me into the darkened hut. Hello, she says softly. You know, it's getting late. She keeps her chin lifted, her head high. I should probably go home. Up until now, she's been so bold, so brave, it was easy to forget. She's still a kid. You're right, I say. Your mom is probably getting worried. Yes, she says. It's not that I don't want to go, she adds with a proud sniff. It's okay, I say, putting my hand on her shoulder. You've been so helpful. I couldn't have gotten this far without you, but I'll take it from here. Her sharp eyes find mine. You're sure you can do it? No, I think. I'm a mile from sure. But what I say is, I hope so. Adele swallows and nods. Okay. My hands fall away from her shoulder. She's starting to walk away when I have an idea. Wait, I call, ducking back inside the green hut. I run up to Dad and tug the salt and sage pouch from the inside pocket of his coat. He'll have to do with one less charm. Where did that come from? He asks, but I'm already heading back toward Adele. Jacob shuffles away, holding his breath, as I give her the little pouch. To keep you safe, I say. Adele looks down at the pouch and then throws her arms around my waist. Bonne chance, Cassidy Blake. Is that French for be careful? Adele shakes her head. No, she says with a smile. It means good luck. I smile back. Merci, Adele Laurent. Bye, Pipsqueak, adds Jacob as the girl heads for the metro station down the block. Cassidy, Mom calls from inside the hut, and I take a deep breath. You ready for this? Asks Jacob. Not really. He swallows. But we're going to do it anyway, aren't we? I square my shoulders toward the door. Yep, we are. We follow the rest of the group through the turnstile, pausing at the top of the spiral steps that coil tightly down into the dark. Mom and Dad go first, followed by Anton and Annette, their cameras up on their shoulders, the red lights a signal that they're already rolling. Then me, Jacob, and Pauline. 6 sets of steps echoing on the stairs. 1, 2, 3, I count as we head down 1 floor, 2, 3, 4, 5. I finish as we reach the bottom. A breeze, stale and cold, wafts towards us, as if the tunnels are breathing. I pull my jacket close, the old photographs of Tomas and his family rustling faintly beneath it. And then we start the 10-minute walk through the empty tunnels toward the entrance of the Empire of the Dead. Water drips from the low ceiling. Footsteps echo off damp stone. Now? Asks Jacob. He shoves his hands in his pockets, clearly eager to get this over with. I shake my head. Tomas and Richard wouldn't have played their games out here, where there were no twists and turns, nothing to hide behind. No, they'd have been farther in, where the halls begin to wind and the walls are full of bones and shadows. But I can't blame Jacob for wanting this to be over. The air is damp and cold, and every step we take is 1 step away from safety. The veil begins to get heavier. It leans against me, pushing me forward, trying to drag me across the line into the dark. Not yet, I think, pushing back. Not yet. We reach the end of the galleries. Arrête, warns the sign over the doorway. Stop. We've come too far to turn back now. And so, with a deep breath, we step through. Part 5, Memory. Chapter 24. Buried beneath Paris, the catacombs are home to more than 6 million bones. My parents walk ahead, recounting the history and the lore of this place. They're telling the same stories as before, but the energy is different this time. They are clearly on edge, ruffled from the whole briefcase incident. It makes them tense and jumpy in a way that's probably great for a show about paranormal activity. Even Dad's usual unflappable calm has tightened, making him seem, for once, truly nervous. Mom's voice is tense, even as her hand dances through the air over the skulls. The tunnels snake beneath the city so vast that most Parisians are walking on bones. Now? Asks Jacob, and I nod, knowing this is the closest I'll get to a chance. I back away 1 step, 2, and then turn, about to reach for the veil, when a hand catches my wrist. Pauline. Don't go wandering, she warns, careful to keep her voice low because everything echoes here. I'm not, I whisper, lifting the camera a little. I was just looking for a good shot. I point over her shoulder toward my parents, who are still walking away. The glow of the tunnel lights ahead of them creates an eerie halo, turning them to silhouettes. Pauline's grip loosens, and I see my chance. By the time her hand falls away, I'm already reaching for the veil. It parts around me, and the last thing I see is Pauline turning back, her eyes widening in surprise as I vanish through the invisible curtain. My heart lurches with panic as I'm plunged into the dark. The air is heavy and stale. All I can think is that I'm 5 stories underground, and last time there was a lantern on the ground, but now there's not, and I can't breathe. Panic fills the place where air should be, and it takes all my strength not to reach for the veil and cross back into the safety of the light. Jacob, I whisper, half afraid that no one will answer, half afraid that someone else will. But then I feel him, a shift in the air beside me. Cass, he whispers back, and I realize that I can almost see the outline of his face. I blink, desperate for my eyes to adjust, and when they do, I realize that the darkness isn't absolute. There must be light somewhere, around the corner, the thinnest glow spilling through the tunnels. I make my way forward, keeping one hand against the wall for balance. The wall that isn't a wall, of course, but a stack of bones. My fingers skip over the hollows of a skull, the dips and grooves where bones lock together like puzzle pieces. We round the corner and I find the oil lamp on the ground. I crouch and turn the knob up, and the tunnel brightens a little, but not nearly as much as I'd like. I look around, but there's no sign of Tomas. No sign of anyone, for that matter. The tunnels are empty. Tomas? I call, but all I hear is my own voice echoing back. And there's no sign of him, or the red light that seems to trail him through the veil. But he has to be here. He has to. And if he's not? I look down at the lantern on the dirt floor, then straighten. I have an idea. Hey, Jacob, I say, want to play a game of hide and seek? He looks at me for a long moment, then swallows and holds out his hands. One fist rests in the other open palm, the universal gesture for rock, paper, scissors. Winner hides, he says. Loser seeks. No way, I say. Rock, paper, scissors isn't a fair game when one of us is psychic. I pull a coin from my back pocket and flip it. Tails, calls Jacob, as the coin glints in the dark. I catch the coin, slap it against the back of my hand. Heads. I'm relieved. The only thing creepier than being down here in the dark would be closing my eyes. Jacob groans and turns to face the nearest column of bones, putting his hands over his eyes. 1, 2, 3, he begins. And instead of running to hide, I slip into a shadowed gap nearby and wait. Wait for movement. Wait for the sight of red eyes in a small, round face. I chew my lip. Jacob gets to 10, and there's still no sign of Tomas. 15, 20, and then, just as Jacob is saying 21, I hear the shuffle of feet. I look up and see Tomas, the little boy, peers around the corner, red eyes wide with curiosity. He doesn't see me, but he sees Jacob. He watches Jacob for a long moment, then turns and slips away into the dark. I follow, careful to keep just enough distance that he doesn't know I'm there, but not so much that I lose him. It helps that his whole body is tinged with red. His edges glow, the air around him curling with wisps of colored smoke. I slip along in his wake, and soon he stops and crouches. He folds himself into a low arch, the bones beneath long crumbled. Just like the nook in Adele's story. I squat in front of Tomas's hiding place. Caught you, I whisper, but for a moment all I see is darkness, shadow, and I think he somehow got away. And then I realize he's there. His head was down, bowed against his folded arms. Now he looks up, red eyes glowing in the dark, and scowls. I jerk backward, shocked by the anger in that small face, the venom in his look as he crawls out from his hiding place, red eyes so bright they seem to burn the air in front of him. Tomas, I start, drawing the photos from my jacket as he gets to his feet. His expression flashes with the kind of temper that only a kid his age can muster. Indignation, betrayal. He mutters something in French, and even though I don't understand the words, The sentiment is clear. I cheated. I didn't play fair. Tomas, I say again, trying to keep my voice steady. I hold out one of the photos of him and his brother, but he doesn't even look. His eyes slide past the images like oil on water and land on me. And then his hand shoots out with lightning speed. I jump back, assuming he's aiming for me, but instead he slams his hand against the nearest wall of bones like a child knocking over blocks. Only these blocks don't fall. They tremble and shake, glowing red with the force of his power. Outside the veil, Tomas was strong. Here, inside it, fueled by all that mischief and menace and mayhem, he's something else entirely. As if he can pull on the energy of the space itself, on the restless dead, on the centuries of loss and fear and sadness. The catacombs bend around him, to him. This isn't just a tomb for him, it's a playground. And as the walls shake, something begins to seep through them, leaking between the bones like smoke, and then it takes form. A young couple with backpacks. A teenage girl with lank, black hair. A middle-aged man with a disheveled beard. They come 1, 2, 5, 10, and as the spirits pour out of the bone-strewn walls, shuffling, grimacing, angry, I retreat, realizing with horror that the catacombs have never been that empty. They were just asleep. My camera flies up, my index finger already hitting the flash. The bright glare buys me a second, and in that second, I turn and run. Chapter 25. My shoes slip on the damp stone. I hit the end of the tunnel before a ragged old man rises up through the floor, blocking my way. I skid backward on my heels and tear down another, darker path, dragging the necklace over my head right before I collide with another body. I'm already bringing the mirror up when a familiar hand catches my wrist. Jacob, I gasp, turning the mirror away from him. He looks over my shoulder, his eyes widening at the tide of spirits, the rumbling bones. What did you do? He demands. I found Tomas, I say, pulling Jacob after me. A gate hangs open up ahead, and we stumble through. I turn and slam the iron bars shut behind us. Upside, I say, breathless. Tomas is definitely here now. Downside, I add, sinking back against the bars. He's stronger than I expected. I close my eyes as a wave of dizziness washes over me, the veil beginning to steal my strength, my focus. So what's the plan? Asks Jacob, and I'm about to reply when he pulls me away from the gate, seconds before a hand shoots through. A woman stands beyond the bars, reaching for me, whispering a stream of desperate French. I hold the mirror out, trapping her attention. Watch and listen. See and know. This is what you are. Her eyes widen a fraction, and I thrust my hand into her chest, pulling out her thread. She crumbles, but before she's even gone, the walls are shaking, rousing more spirits, and I know the only way to stop them all is to stop the one who woke them up. Tomas. I back away from the bars. Come on, I say, grabbing Jacob's hand. We can't stay here. We can't just keep running either, says Jacob. I know, I say. I'm just buying time to... We round another corner, and a spirit, a middle-aged man in old-fashioned clothes, slides forward out of the dark. Sherry, Sherry, he sings. And I don't know who Sherry is, but something about the ghost catches my eye. Not the concerning lack of teeth in his grin. It's his hat. A newsboy cap, the kind with a stiff front brim. I've seen one just like it in the old photos I have in my pocket. And suddenly I have an idea. Jacob's already backing away from the specter, but I rush forward. Excuse me, I say, could I borrow your... The man snarls and grabs me, shoving me against a wall of bones that rattle as they dig into my back. I gasp, but I manage to swipe the cap from his head before Jacob lunges at the spirit from behind, hauling him backward. Freed, I slump against the bones, and Jacob slams the other ghost into a pillar of skulls. The bones topple with a crash, and the man drops, dazed, to his hands and knees. "Come on," says Jacob, but my gaze flicks from Jacob's shirt, with its large comic book emblem, to the man's jacket, weathered and old. I press the stolen cap into Jacob's hands and reach for the fallen ghost, plucking at one of his gray cuffs. "A little help?" I snap at Jacob when he just stands there, looking from the cap in his hands to me. "Help you do what?" he demands. "Get this coat," I say, tugging at the ghost's sleeve. The spirit is beginning to fight back, but with Jacob's help, I manage to wrestle the jacket off the dim-witted spirit, a task just as difficult and awkward as it sounds. I toss the coat to Jacob and shove the mirror into the spirit's face, reaping his thread as quickly as possible. By the time he vanishes, I'm already doubling back down the tunnel and searching for the right place to set my trap. "Are you going to tell me what's going on?" asks Jacob, clutching the coat and hat as he follows me. Finally, I find it. A stretch of tunnel lit by an oil lamp, one side dissolving into darkness and the other capped by a dead end. I turn toward Jacob. "Time for a different kind of game. Put those on." He looks at me, aghast. "You want me to play dress-up in another ghost's clothes?" I pull out one of the photos, the shot of Richard standing alone after Tomas's death. "I want you to dress up as him." Jacob looks at the photograph for a long moment, and I wait for his witty retort. But he says nothing, only stares, his face unreadable. "What?" I say. "You don't think it will work?" But when he answers, his voice is low, strangely sober. "Actually," he says, "I think it might." He shrugs on the coat, grimacing a little. "I feel so gross right now," he mumbles. The coat is big on him, big enough to cover the t-shirt, probably too big to look natural, but it's all we have to work with. He rolls up the sleeves. "Sorry," I say. "Well," he says, adjusting the cap on his head, "how do I look?" I look him up and down, surprised by the difference a few small changes make. In the coat and hat, Jacob could almost pass for an old-fashioned boy. I glance from the photo of Richard to Jacob. "One more thing," I say. Then I drag my hand along the top of a low stack of bones and wipe the dirt along his cheeks. Jacob grits his teeth. "Did you seriously just wipe dead people dirt on me?" The resemblance isn't perfect, of course, but it might just be enough. It better be, because I'm running out of options. And out of time. My vision is beginning to swim a little, and I know I've been down here too long. "You owe me so many comics," Jacob says, but the joke is thin, and I can tell he's unsettled, even scared. I forget sometimes that so much of Jacob's fear is an act, made to make me feel braver. Seeing him genuinely afraid is, well, terrifying. I tell Jacob the rest of my plan, then point to the nearest tower of bones. The skulls form a wavy band every 2 feet, grinning out at us with empty eyes. I use them as a handhold, and Jacob laces his fingers and gives me a leg up, helping me hoist myself onto the top of the wall. That's how I think of it. A wall, not a stack of femurs and skulls, the bones shifting dangerously under my weight. Nope, just a wall, a place to crouch, to hide, to wait. The ceiling overhead is low and damp, and I cringe as it brushes the top of my head, trying not to think too hard about any of it. From this angle, Jacob's face is hidden by his borrowed cap, and it's not hard to imagine he's someone else, a boy looking for his little brother. "Tomas," he calls out, voice ringing through the tunnels. "Tomas, Tomas." For a long moment, nothing happens. "Tomas, Tomas, Tomas." And then the little boy comes out of nowhere. He doesn't peer around a corner, doesn't come running. 1 second, Jacob is alone in the tunnel. The next, he's not. Jacob doesn't see him, not at first. He's got his back to the boy as he calls into the dark. "Tomas, Tomas, Tomas." The boy tilts his head, confused, and the red light in his eyes flickers once, like a shorting bulb, but then comes back. He takes a step forward, then stops when his foot comes down on the slip of paper. One of the photographs I've scattered through this stretch of tunnel like breadcrumbs, meant to lead a lost boy home. I watch as Tomas crouches and picks up the photo. He stares at the shot of Richard with his hand on his little brother's shoulder. His eyes narrow. The red light flickers again. It's working. Jacob keeps walking, just like we agreed, and Tomas follows. The bones beneath me dig into my palms as I creep forward. Tomas kneels, picking up another photograph. And another, and another. The red light around him weakens with each slip of paper, each memory. I keep crawling, trying to keep pace as he makes his way toward Jacob. The front layer of the wall is rigid beneath me, the bones locked to form a rough but stable structure. But the piles behind that facade are nothing but stacks of rotting old bones. So I'm careful to stay on the narrow strip of solid ground. Up ahead, the tunnel ends. Jacob stops, lifting one hand to the bones that bar his way, and then turns back. I can't see his face, but his whole body stiffens in surprise at the sight of the boy clutching those old photographs. Either he's a better actor than I thought, or he genuinely didn't hear Tomas coming up behind him. Tomas, he says, and I can hear him fighting to keep his voice steady. Hold on, I think, as the air coils nervously around Tomas. Richard? Tomas's voice is quiet, uncertain. Jacob holds out his hand, and Tomas is about to reach for it. The red light in his eyes is almost gone, and I'm almost there when my knee comes down on a brittle bone, and the bone snaps. Not enough for me to slip, but the sound rings out through the dark like a branch breaking in a silent forest. Tomas twists away from Jacob, the red light surging back into his eyes. I cut sideways, out of his sight, and into the deeper dark. Too late, I realize my mistake. Too late, all my weight shifts from the stable wall to the stack of rotting bones. Too late, and the pile gives way, crumbling like ash beneath me, and I'm falling down, down, down into the dark. That's the end of the chapter, and that's a good place to stop. We'll be on chapter 26, page 252, and we have 35 pages left to read, 36 pages left to read, so we'll probably split it up into two. Hi, Abigail. Into two more sections. So today is Wednesday, so we'll be reading Monday and Wednesday next week, and then we'll have finished this book. The plan after that is to go on to another book, but that will be the end of Tunnel of Bones. I wish we could just breeze through the rest of it right now because it's very exciting, but it's time to open the library. I only have 30 minutes to do my reading, so we'll continue next week. I hope you have a good rest of your week, a nice weekend, and I will see you on Monday at 9:30. Bye-bye.